It is Sunday, the 8th of March, 2020. It's International Women's Day today, and I'm standing in front of the Lakeshore Unitarian Universalist Church in Lachine, Quebec, protesting against basically Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual misconduct and other forms of clergy abuse, as well as the cover-up and denial of clergy sexual abuse, clergy sexual misconduct, and obviously clergy sexual misconduct, clergy sexual abuse, for the most part the victims are women. There are literally hundreds of Unitarian Universalist congregations that have been affected by clergy sexual misconduct of one kind or another. The vast majority of that sexual misconduct, or perhaps not the vast majority, but most of it, is male Unitarian Universalist ministers sexually harassing or sexually exploiting females, often Unitarian Universalist congregants, but not always. There have been cases of rape of teenage Tibetan refugees and so on by Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell. There's been cases of child porn. That's in recent years. That's Reverend, trying to remember his name, Eugene Robinson, if I remember right. Ronald Eugene Robinson, a so-called Christian Unitarian Universalist minister. He was found guilty of child porn charges, quite serious ones, just a few years ago. There's other cases where Unitarian Universalist ministers have engaged in sexual abuse of children. I'm not going to name names or specific churches right now. I know some churches have actually changed their names as a result of well, I can't say it for sure as a result of, but it's just a funny coincidence that a church that has a clergy sexual misconduct problem, or perhaps a sexual misconduct problem committed by a religious educator and so on, changes its name down the road a bit to try and seemingly dissociate itself from its past. That has happened in some occasions. But what's interesting, as you may glean from these signs, is that even though the majority of victims of Unitarian Universalist clergy sexual misconduct are women, there's unfortunately quite a lot of Unitarian Universalist women who aid and abet the cover-up and denial of clergy sexual misconduct and clergy sex abuse, including covering up and denying such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. Say nothing of Unitarian Universalist religious educators and other lay leaders and so on. So part of my theme today, a major part of my theme today, is the role of women in Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of clergy sexual misconduct, or even more directly protecting ministers from accountability. Basically female UUA leaders protecting abusive Unitarian Universalist ministers from accountability. Unfortunately, a great many Unitarian Universalist women are at minimum passively complicit in Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse, cover-up and denial, and then to some extent, by extension, in the clergy sex abuse itself. They're basically allowing ministers to get away with it with little or no accountability. So I think that's the main theme of today's protest, is the role of Unitarian Universalist women in the cover-up and denial of clergy sex abuse, which affects mostly women. And I'm just going to make sure this camera's still recording here. And yes, it is. And we have... I don't have to, but I record everything. So, anyhow, so this woman who, was going in behind me in the distance and in the shadow, You know, we can maybe see the symbolism in that, in the shadow, literally, but also perhaps figuratively. You know, she says I don't have to record her. Well, I'm not recording her, I'm recording myself. I just wanted to make sure that the camera was still running, and she happened to be in the background, and a good distance away with a wide angle lens.